bitches. Good morning.
Good morning, bitches. Good morning, Steven.
Hi, Steven. Here to greet his public.
Yeah. Just gonna move the phone over a little bit. I'm getting cut out over here.
Oh, no. Here we go. Gotta center the frame.
Trying.
Perfect. Good morning, bitches. It's Thursday. It's gotten slightly chilly out, and I'm not a fan.
No, we're feeling snotty already.
I'm not pleased about it.
So
After our triumphant Tuesday show about Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses, we are now on to the albums that we independently appreciate.
Yeah.
This is actually our last one, isn't it?
For a bit, yeah. So Tuesday's episode was actually our 50th episode of Good Morning Witches, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a little insane.
So we're going to take a break next week.
Welcome to the season finale.
This is the season finale of season 2. Just to regroup a little bit and work out what season 3 looks like.
Yeah, season 3. Who knew?
So enjoy it while we can. I mean, there's going to be 51 episodes of you to go back and watch, so I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe we should take pitches for season 3.
Yeah, what should we talk about?
Yeah, what should we cover? What would you all like to see really broken down, and what should we dive into for season 3?
Yeah.
Because I guess in our final episode, we're going to discuss 2 albums. I'm going to talk about the 1999 album Midnite Vultures by Beck.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to talk about the 1994 album Grace by Jeff Buckley.
So, these albums are pretty far apart in terms of timing. 1994 is when Odelay came out, which is the album that absolutely blew the lid off of Beck.
Well, I should note, and I think this is important, that I didn't discover Grace until 1998.
Oh.
And I can say that with a degree of certainty because Jeff Buckley died in 1997, and I, as a teen, rarely had my finger on the pulse of the things going on in popular culture. And so I remember my parents' weekend newspaper of choice was the Sunday Times, and the culture section, a year after he died, ran an interview that they'd done with him that they hadn't put out. And it had, I guess they never did a photo shoot, so it had these illustrations. They're like watercolory of him. And I liked the illustrations. That's actually what drew my eye, because I was like 16-ish. And then I read the interview and I was like intrigued. He basically had the trifecta of things that I was interested in men at the time, which was that he was very handsome, he was dark and brooding, and he was dead. And I was wondering if this is still a thing that this is specific to teenage girls, but there's no reason why it should be. But teenagers being really into dead people. Because I loved him. I loved James Dean. I had the girl I sat next to in English was obsessed with John Lennon, who was long dead by that point. I had another friend who was obsessed with River Phoenix.
There's just some kind of a mystery, it lends to the.
Well, I'll tell you what I think it is. Dead guys can't disappoint you. They are what they are. You can project anything you like onto them, because there's a finite, especially like pre-internet, there's a finite amount of like literature and interviews and whatever. So he was part of that, although there wasn't that much to read about him compared to like James Dean. I could buy infinite books about James Dean. There's only 3 movies to watch, but
there is an absolute, there's a massive information.
So I went and got Grace, which was probably the only thing available at the time. And I really, really got into it. And it's a weird album. I mean, you know, it didn't do very much when it came out. I don't know if it did very much while he was alive. It has since done very well because of the cover of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah that's on it that got used in like fucking everything.
Yeah.
I think it actually like ended up at number 2 on the Billboard charts like a decade after he died or something. But it's kind of all over the place. It's very show-offy. So he I mean, people know about Jeff Buckley, right? I don't need to go deep on Jeff Buckley, but he was like, you know, an amazing guitar player, and he also had this very unusual singing voice. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's like shades of Led Zeppelin in it for sure, but it's like way more arty and odd than that. And there's some songs that like I still think are really, really great. I mean, the title track, Grace, it's a great song. The production on it is great. There's a bit where these clocks come in that I would never tire of. Like Eternal Life is a great song. Love You Should Have Come Over is a great song. Mojo Pit is a great song. So Real is a great song. But then there's these covers on it. So there's the Hallelujah cover, which is it is great. I'll give him that. There is Lilac Wine, which I think I was reading like I don't know what the history of that song is. Nina Simone did a version. I think that's where he learned it from.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, it's famously done by Elkie Brooks, which is a singer that my mom really liked. I'm not sure I've ever heard Elkie Brooks' version though. And then there's this Corpus Christi carol, which is like a Benjamin Britten choral thing. And even in 1998, that was a pretty frequent skip for me. It's like, it's impressive that he could sing it, but its position on this album is very odd. And I think that's the entire track list of the original Grace. They like re-released it a few years later with extra tracks, but I had that version, which I think was only like 9 songs. And yeah, I'm just trying to think why I loved it so much, but I really loved it. And I didn't have a CD player in my room yet at 16. So I would play it in the living room. And I remember my mom just being like, can you just stop? Like, she couldn't cope with his voice. And me and my mom, like, there's a lot of music that we both liked. And a lot of times when I was like at that age and I was discovering new music, my mom would hear it and be like, what's this? It's great, which was really annoying if you were trying to be a rebel. Mm-hmm. I remember when I brought home Dookie and my mom was like, what's this? It's great. I'm like, no.
No, it's not. You do not like it.
You hate this. It's important to my self-esteem. So she couldn't stand the Jeff Buckley record. And yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people that talk about him being an amazing songwriter. I don't think all of the lyrics are great. They are quite over dramatic, but he seems like he was probably something of an over dramatic person. But I did learn. I got the music. I got the book of the music. Don't know why that was sheets of music. And because he was a really incredible guitar player and studied it at college, I think. And I couldn't play everything in that book by a long way, but it allowed me, I learned a couple of songs in there and it allowed me to learn all kinds of different like chord shapes that I wasn't picking up by just trying to play like Nirvana or whatever, because I am largely self-taught on the guitar. I had a few lessons my first year of university. But I'm mostly self-taught. So looking at people's hands on the TV and trying to copy them. And then because I can read music because of all the piano lessons I had, and then I kind of finally figured out what the hell tabs were. I learned a bunch of stuff from that Jeff Buckley record.
I mean, I'm gonna go in because we don't
Do
have
it.
a whole lot of time.
Go.
I did not learn anything about music from any of the Beck albums because they were all so weird and so different. I was already very, very into Beck when Midnite Vultures came out. Beck was my first teenage heartthrob, big teenage crush. I don't know if anybody remembers, but there was a Rolling Stone magazine cover with a beautiful like black and white photo of him on the cover. I had that poster in my bedroom. I mean, other than like New Kids on the Block or whatever, but even then I don't remember feeling like, oh my God, like my heart skips a beat. Who is this person? Like I just like,
it's funny because he's kind of weird looking.
He's very weird looking and he's really nerdy and like, but I had already been really into what he was doing. I mean, Odelay is a great album, super weird, tons of bizarre samples. I had already gone to the back catalog with the anti-folk stuff and then further in the back catalog to like the more folky acoustic stuff, and I loved all of it. I liked Mutations, which is the album that everybody shits on, but I still think it's great. But when Midnite Vultures came out, it was like nothing I had ever heard before. The combination of sounds and the delivery, because it is very much like it's like a weird space age disco funk kind of an album.
Sure.
Why I liked that at 14, don't know. Doesn't really make sense. If I maybe just gave it like more of a listen than I would have otherwise because I already loved Beck, I think probably had something to do with it. But
wait, 99, you were 14.
1999, I was 15. So this album came out in November of 1999, so I was 14 going on 15.
Okay. Is that right?
No. 1999, I was 15 going on 16.
Okay.
Which makes sense because I remember seeing Beck on the Midnite Vultures tour and I was like, I have this split in my mind where I remember like listening, like holding the CD in my hand after buying it at Newbury Comics and putting it in my boombox in the apartment that my mom and I lived in Quincy. And then I remember seeing Beck on the Midnite Vultures tour when I was in high school with one of my friends from the Votech. And those are two different, like there's a very distinct line between those two different lives, but it was in between. It was in between that time. But I loved the album because it was so weird, because there were noises in these songs that I never would have thought of in a musical context. Like you were saying about the clocks in the Jeff Buckley song. There's a song in Midnite Vultures called Pressure Zone where like the opening beat is this combination of guitar riff and then there's the sound of these like swords like going shink. And I was like, what was that? But it was so cool and it sounded so good. And there were some hits off of that album. It was not as critically, I mean, it was critically well received, but it wasn't like a blockbuster like Odelay was. But Sex Laws, Mixed Business, there were quite a few radio hits on that album. Also, that record is filthy. There are some very, very, very dirty songs on that album. Which again, why? I mean, maybe when I was 15 going on 16, it captured a piece of a certain imagination, especially because I had such a huge crush on him already. And I was like, what? What is he? Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, it was a huge, huge album. And I rarely, even though it was such a big album and it was such a weird sounding combination of songs and lyrics and influences, that was kind of what Beck always did. But I rarely come across people who were like, fuck yes, Midnite Vultures. My friend Danny is one of those people who, like, when I was living in Providence, I think he had just come in or we were hanging out and he was like listening to that album or talking about the song or like just saying some of the words to some of the songs. We were like, what is this? And I just was so grateful in that moment that somebody else had like locked into it the way that I had. It's kind of one of those special albums by somebody who is known for making really weird, really erratic music, but like that somehow stands out in a catalog of bizarre music of still being a super weird record. was also one of my favorite albums to like exercise to when I was doing that. Because it's like, it's got beats. It's got a lot of different BPMs, you know? So when I was doing spin classes and riding an exercise bike a lot, there was a lot of great songs on Midnite Vultures for that sort of thing. But it's such a good album. And even if you like Beck, you probably already know that. If you don't, you're not gonna like it, you know? Because it's super weird and it's, you know, it's freaky. It's like very much in the style of like this is a freaky record in a lot of different ways, and it's like freaky funky and freaky sexy and like freaky noisy, like. But yeah, at 15 going on 16, it hit the right notes for me for a lot of weird reasons. I don't think there was another Beck album after that that felt the same, that like had the same level of intensity and like. I mean, maybe because I stopped paying attention, but I mean, he won a Grammy the year that Lemonade came out. You know what I mean?
He did?
Yes, he won the Grammy for Best Album that year, which is insane. I will even say that. That doesn't make any sense. But he's like still making music that's really weird and you know, people listen to, and it has a certain characteristic to it. But I think after Midnite Vultures, it wasn't. Yeah, that was a peak. I think Midnite Vultures was the peak. So there you have it.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right, we got 3 minutes till
Okay.
your meeting starts. Okay, so we're gonna play one of our songs. This song's called "Make Art." It's about making art.
Art for art's sake.
Felt like it was somewhat in thematically the same sphere as these two records we're talking about.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in for season 2 of Good Morning Bitches.
Yeah, we'll see you in a week or so.
With something else.
With something else. Stay safe out there. Ready?
Yeah, I think so.
When you're working, but it's fireworks and fella in your diary, you like it. You wrote a one-person show you only read when you're alone, but you like it. You made a movie with your friend and no one makes it in the end, but you like it. You wrote a musical inspired by the person you admire and you like it. Make art! Make art! Make art! Woo! It doesn't matter if it's cool. It doesn't matter if you fail on your first try. It doesn't have to make a dime. It doesn't matter if it's cool. It doesn't matter if you fail on your first try. It doesn't have to make a dime. It only has to make you smile. Make up for you. You make the focus with your cousins and you sound like music doesn't, but you like it. You make all your own rules and no one asks you where they're from, but you like it. You drew a Bigfoot on your back, but it looks like any man and you like it. You got a camera from your dad and all your pictures turn out bad, but you like it. Make art! Make art! Make art! Woo! It doesn't matter if it's cool. It doesn't matter if you fail on your first try. It doesn't have to make a dime. It doesn't matter if it's cool. It doesn't matter if you fail on your first try. It doesn't have to make a dime. It only has to make you smile. Make up for you. Make up for you.